Hello there. This is Greenhat-Redbeard Adventures. So you want to make your own slingshot bands from scratch, huh? Well, I'm going to help you out with that today. So this method I'm going to show you here is more of a cheap of the cheap of the cheap. You know, there are professionally made kits that are used for making these kind of slingshot bands, but this is a sort of a cheaper method that I use. So first and foremost, you're going to need the latex band material. This material that I'm using here is from exercise bands. I often see a lot of people using exercise bands in other videos, and they talk about the latex materials that they use. But the one thing that have always got me is that what does the packaging look like? You know, what does the package look like? You know, where do I find this stuff? You know, where do I get it? So I cut the box here so that way you can get an idea of what to look for yourself, if that's what you're looking for. Oops, almost dropped something. So this is what the box is going to look like. I got this at a Walmart in the exercise section. This is one band in particular. This is a heavy resistance band. It's heavy duty for exercising, and so it gives you a little picture of what it looks like. And it says heavy resistance on the packaging. There's a light and a medium as well. I usually go for the heavy resistance ones to use with making my bands. And here's an example of the bands in particular. So I'm going to show you how to set it up from here. So right out, this is what it's going to look like right out of the packaging. It's like it's all rolled up and whatnot. It's about 5 inches wide and about maybe 5 feet or so long, give or take. So what I've done here is for this, what you're going to need is a pair of sharp, good scissors. You're going to need a tape measure, a Sharpie marker, a decent ruler, and that's really all you really need for cutting out the bands. So what you want to do is like how I cut this strip right here to about 10 inches long, and most the widths of the bands themselves is up to you. I usually do was like about 1 inch width and taper down to 3/4 of an inch. And usually what I'll do is I'll take my tape measure and I'll put it across here. So 5 inches across, and I'll mark basically at that point is like here I'll mark 1 inch. And I flip it around to the other side, and I'll mark it as 3/4 of an inch, just like that. So you can't see it very well in the video, but there's a marking right here and a marking right here. At which point what I'll do is I take my ruler, line up the 2 lines, and then I'll take my Sharpie marker and draw a line. Sometimes the Sharpie marker may not show up too well on the latex materials. It might be a little faded or something. Just run it across more than once and it'll work just fine. But luckily for you, you guys are not going to have to see me drawing lines because I actually did it in advance. Let's turn this over. So as you can see, what I've got here is I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bands available, and then a little bit of access left over on this side here. So that little access, we're still going to keep it. We're going to use that for tying the latex bands onto the pouches. So ideally what you want to do is you want to make up your lines, draw your lines first and all your calculations. So this little bit here is 1 inch, 3/4 inch, 3/4 inch. And then on the other side here, a starter, 3/4, 1 inch, 3/4, 1 inch, 3/4, and then one's left over. So depending on the bands that you get and the sizes, you may get more out of it, but that's okay. So and when you're doing this with scissors, you want to be very careful. You want to keep the cuts as straight as possible. You don't want to be, veering off left and right too much. You don't want to be like cut off to the side and cut forward a little bit and you get that little tail kind of thing, because that's where the split is going to happen. So let's just take this nice and slow and easy here. Try to tilt it so you can see it. Take your time, go slow, go simple. There are some sets that are professionally made where you can use like a pizza style cutter. It's like one of those little handle with a sharp roller on it. It's like razor sharp and it works really, really good. Personally, I do not have it. I don't want to go out and waste my money on it if scissors is going to work just well for me. I've been using scissors for the past couple of weeks now with this set, and it's been working quite well. So I don't have really a serious need to go out and get that kind of particular tool. So there you go, there's the first band. And what I do first off is I stretch it, give it a check to make sure it's, there's no little burrs or anything like that on it that might, there's like a little bit right here. I can barely see that right there. There's a little nick there. The camera's not really focusing in on it, but there's a little nick right there. So what I'll just do is I'll just very carefully take my scissors and just cut that out a little bit. Just slice it off. And I'll stretch it, give it a check, and now that little nick there is gone. So I'll just keep giving it stretches, checking it over, make sure it looks good. Oh, here's another one, a little one right there. Usually I'll just get one of these because I've had more practice with it, but just cutting like a tiny little sliver off. See, now it's gone. So, and there you have it. There's one band right there, 1 inch here, 3/4 inch on this side here. I'll put that off to the side, and now I'll cut the next one. Like I said, just take it nice and slow, easy. You don't want to rush it. Why would you want to rush it? And just potentially do it wrong. With that first band there, I only had to check the one side because the other side was clean from the being the outside edge. On this second strip here, I'm gonna have to check both sides to make sure there's no little cut slivers like that. When you stretch it out, and you can definitely still pull off a few shots, but in the long run, that's there as the start of a tear right there in the latex bands, and that down the road is going to cause you problems. So here's the next band ready to go. So now we want to stretch it out. We want to check both the top and the bottom, make sure there's no little imperfections. So far it looks pretty good. So there's one right there, and there's another right there. That's enough for one band set right there, which will give us, I'll shoot in the next video I'll show you how to attach the latex bands onto the pouches themselves, how to do the little knot tie there and how to do it. Because you are going to need a jig for this, and I'm going to show you my jig here. So that's how you do it. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Minimal amount of tools. You don't have to go super high tech and super flashy and spend all sorts of money with building all sorts of there's some things where you get the whole placemat and you get a high tech measurements all over it and rollers. This is just like a cheaper alternative for with some simple household items that I've managed to pull this off with. But the jig, as I'm going to show you, which I have here, I'm going to show you in the next video. This is where you're going to have to spend a couple of extra bucks to in order to pull this off. So this is band making, and this is Greenhat-Redbeard Adventures, and I'll see you around. Take care of yourself.